trying to join in the waiting room by chance?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So she's trying to connect to Zoom.
We're just kind of testing this right now. So hold on 1 second. I'm gonna do this. Okay.
Okay, it looks like we have one of our deaf interpreters is ready to go. We're still waiting on our other interpreter, is still freezing. Our connection is keeps disconnecting.
Okay, for those joining us so far, we're getting the technical stuff situated right now. But my name is Salvador Sauceda Guzman. I am the chair for ANC 5D. As folks are trickling into the Zoom, we'll be promoting the interpreters as well as the commissioners. And when we come closer to any portion of the agenda that might involve you speaking with the public, we'll go ahead and promote you as well. For friendly reminder, our parliamentarian, Commissioner McCollum, is co-hosting the Zoom. All attendees that are not speaking based on today's agenda will be muted. And feel free to use the Q&A feature on the Zoom if you have any questions. We'll be using the Q&A to ask and answer any questions. The chat feature is available for everyone, and you can go ahead and use it respectfully to communicate with attendees participating on tonight's meeting.
Dr. Washington Shepherd is she an interpreter?
She is. That is correct. She's the certified deaf interpreter.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCollum confirmed that. I think we're just missing Commissioner Black now. Yes, okay, perfect. For interpreters, just let us know when we can proceed.
Okay, I think we're ready.
Perfect. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. It is 7:06 p.m. This is ANC 5D's monthly public meeting. We hold this meeting every second Tuesday of the month to discuss matters encompassing the entire commission of ANC 5D, which focuses on the neighborhoods of Gallaudet, Ivy City, Trinidad, Union Market, and Carver Langston. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and start off with the agenda that was served to the public 7 days in advance of tonight's meeting by starting the call to order tonight at 7:07 p.m. I call this meeting to order, and we'll start with roll call to take attendance of the commissioners participating in tonight's meeting. With that being said, 5D01.
Hello, I'm here, and I have a problem today that I'm on a bus. Well, I will be on a bus, and my headphones aren't working. So I'm going to. Is it okay if I use the chat to and someone read it out?
So, Commissioner, with any voting action items, we need you visible on camera and we need to hear your audio, but feel free to stay off camera until needed. And if you're speaking in respective to your commissioner's report, if you prefer to use the chat, you can use that and we'll move forward with the meeting. 5D02.
Present.
5D03.
Present.
Thank you. 5D04.
Present.
5D05 is myself. I am present. 5D06.
Present.
5D07.
Good evening, present.
5D08.
Hello, present.
5D09. I believe that's Commissioner Blacknell, and they are not present at this time. Just double checking, making sure. Yeah. Okay. We'll proceed with the meeting, moving according to our agenda. I'm muting again any panelists that are not speaking. We're moving forward with the adoption of the agenda. For the commissioners, we set up this agenda in advance of the meeting, and we typically share any voting action items that we like to discuss prior, so we have time to review them. But for any commissioners that want to make any amendments to the agenda, please speak now.
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Roblin?
Thanks. I have two amendments to the agenda, two additions. Yeah, one is, one is a resolution in opposition to the Initiative Amendment Act of 2023. And another is a letter to DDOT regarding the M Street crosswalks.
Okay, do you have links for that you can drop in the chat so we can share with the public?
Yes, I'll do that. I'm gonna have to connect from my phone in order to do it because I can't copy and paste from this laptop. Hopefully it won't make any reverberating sounds if I'm connecting on both devices. So I may have to get off the laptop in order to do it on the phone.
If you could forward them via an email, I can add them to the agenda.
Oh, great, thank you.
Perfect. Would you like to make a motion to add these items to the agenda tonight?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'd like to make the motion to add them.
Can we do these separately so that if there's any opposition to one or the other, we have that on record?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to add the resolution in opposition to the Initiative Amendment Act of 2023. Thank you.
Can Commissioner Roblin get a second on this one?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cobb. All in favor of adding this to tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, those opposed say nay.
Opposed.
And any abstentions? Okay, we'll add that as a voting action item to tonight's agenda. The second item, Commissioner Roblin?
I make a motion to add the letter to DDOT regarding M Street crosswalks to our agenda.
Can we get a second for Commissioner Roblin?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cobb. All in favor of adding this letter to DDOT to tonight's agenda, say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
Opposed.
And any abstentions? Okay, we'll add that to tonight's agenda. Thank you, Commissioner Roblin. Can you email me those as soon as you can? Okay, Commissioner Cobb?
Yeah, I think that we should remove the quarterly financial report. We are having new issues with the OANC's platform for record keeping, and it works in a lot of ways, but for some reason it gave us a very wrong beginning balance for our quarterly financial report. So I'm still working with OANC to figure that out. So I say that I think that we should table that until next month.
Okay, go ahead and make that motion.
Yeah, I move that we remove just the quarterly financial report from the agenda.
Can we get a second for that?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rhodes. All in favor of removing this item from tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Opposed.
And any
Discussion.
abstentions? Discussion was requested. We have 3 minutes on the clock starting at 7:13.
While there may or may not be any technical difficulties with the OANC platform, that doesn't prevent the treasurer from manually giving a report of the ANC's finances.
Well, it literally does because it's the only authorized record keeping platform for OANC. We still have the monthly report.
Right, this was in reference to the quarterly report.
Well, just to be clear here, we did this out of order, so the vote has already been taken, but I did want Commissioner Henderson to be able to make her comments on record. The next time we need to have an open discussion before we take the vote.
Thank you, Parliamentarian, for the clarification. Any other additional comments on this discussion? If not, it will close. Okay, hearing no additional comments, we'll proceed with the vote. I believe we had 1 nay and any abstentions on this vote? Okay, the amendment moves forward. We'll remove the quarterly report from the agenda. Commissioner Arbuckle? Sorry, Commissioner. There you
Hello,
go.
I would like to add 2 items to the agenda. The first is a request by Raul Napier to have to be able to sell liquor within the 45-day period. And he has prepared a presentation after Commissioner May and I discussed it with him. And then second, I would like to add, or I guess I should start with that first one. Can we add that to the agenda?
Okay, could you make the motion?
I would like to move that we add this to the agenda.
Then this is clarification. Are you requesting a stipulated liquor license?
Yes.
Okay, can we get a second for Commissioner Arbuckle?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cobb. Those in favor of adding this to tonight's agenda, say aye.
Discussion.
We have to have discussion.
7:15.
3-minute discussion.
Mr. Arbuckle, did you send a copy of the request, the licensee's request, to all of the commissioners, or did Abra send a copy of the request to all of the commissioners?
There will be a presentation today.
So the answer is no.
I guess not.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments in the discussion period? Okay, hearing none, we'll move forward with the vote. The motion is placed on the floor and second by Commissioner Cobb for a stipulated liquor license. Those in favor of adding this item to tonight's agenda, say aye.
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 Can the commissioners raise their hands to make sure that we're counting the vote correctly? Okay. Those opposed say nay.
Opposed.
Opposed. And any abstentions? No abstentions. That was 3 nays and how many in favor?
Like we have
think it was 5.
4 and 3 against.
4 and 3. Does that pass based on tonight's quorum, Commissioner McCollum?
Sorry, 5 and 3.
5 and 3. Okay, we'll add that to tonight's agenda. And your second item, Commissioner
Roll
Arbuckle?
call. Roll call.
It's in order. Let's have a roll call.
Sorry, I missed what just happened.
We're going to do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm adding Commissioner Black now to the meeting. Can you repeat your motion, Commissioner Arbuckle?
I'm sorry, but I will have to drop now.
The motion was placed on the floor to add a stipulated liquor license to tonight's agenda. It was seconded by Commissioner Cobb. Those in favor, we'll do a roll call vote. I'm sorry. So 5D01.
I think he dropped off the call.
Yeah,
5D02.
I'll say nay.
5D03.
yes,
5D04.
Yes.
5D05, nay. 5D06.
No.
5D07.
No.
5D08.
Yes.
And 5D09.
Yes.
What is that vote, Commissioner McCollum?
There's a 4 no's, 4 yes, and 1 not present. So unfortunately, I don't think it carries.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Commissioner. And he had a second item to add, but he's not here to add it. Was there anyone else that needed to make an amendment to tonight's agenda? Any other amendments or changes to tonight's agenda?
We have the letter from Minetta Tavern that Commissioner Arbuckle wanted to add. Can I bring that letter up on his behalf since he
It's
left the meeting?
it's on the agenda, Commissioner.
Oh, it is? I thought that was one of his amendments.
Oh, no, maybe it was something else, but that one's definitely on the agenda already from last month.
Got it. All right. Then maybe that's not necessary.
Okay. With that being said, I move that we adopt tonight's agenda as amended during today's meeting. Can I get a second on this motion?
second,
Second by Commissioner Roblin. All in favor of adopting tonight's agenda as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
aye,
Opposed?
And any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. We'll adopt the amended agenda as presented to the public. With that being said, moving forward with the agenda, we have the portion where we adopt the minutes. That portion belongs to our Secretary, Commissioner Roblin, who's been doing a great job on staying on top of many tasks that are proposed on us as ANC commissioners. But we'll be holding to adopt the minutes until a further date, specifically hopefully in June, when we have an administrative personnel to assist. So with that being said, we'll move forward with the rest of the agenda. We're not doing our quarterly report, as Commissioner Cobb, who is our treasurer, stated that we don't have the most accurate numbers for this at this time, but I will allow him to move forward with the monthly report.
Thank you. Okay, for a monthly report for March 2024, we had an opening balance of $33,979.10. We had no expenditures, and we had we had an allotment of $5,663.08. That's our quarterly allotment from the district government, giving us a closing balance for March of $39,642.18.
Thank you, Commissioner. Again,
Can
just
you
a friendly
repeat those
reminder.
numbers?
1 second, Commissioner. still speaking here. So just a friendly reminder, we have a Q&A function on the Zoom for folks that have any questions during tonight's meeting. We will not be answering any questions presented in the chat. Feel free to use the chat to speak with your residents respectfully. And for the actual Q&A, that's what we'll be asking and answering questions. Commissioner Cobb, I believe Commissioner Henderson's requesting a repeat of the figures.
Sure. Opening balance of $33,979.10. Closing balance of $39,642.18 for a change of a little over $5,600.
And are those figures linked on the agenda tonight, Commissioner Cobb?
They are. The monthly report is linked.
Perfect. So Commissioner Henderson, if you need to look at those again, it's available. Any other questions from the commissioners or the public for the treasurer's monthly report? I don't see anything in the Q&A. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Cobb. Okay, moving with standing presentations. For those joining us for the first time today, these standing presentations are moments where we share information prior to any requested presentations or voting action items. And we start off with the Commissioner's report and in our public safety report. And a friendly note for tonight's meeting, the Executive Office and the Mayor and Ward 5 Council Member's Office will not be in attendance tonight since they are attending a public safety meeting in Brookland to discuss the matter that occurred at the Brookland Metro Station last week. And good news that they did find one of the perpetrators involved in that incident. So Mr. Anthony Black and Mr. Oliver Stout would be not in attendance today, but we will give out some information later in regards to what's going on with their respective offices. With that being said, we'll start with our commissioners' reports and go down the ANC commission, starting with 5G01. Do you have anything to
Sorry.
share, Commissioner Arbuckle?
I do not today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. 5G02.
Thank you. I just want to say everything that I mentioned in last month's meeting, the Office of Planning meeting, community meeting about the small area plan, the DPR and DGS meeting about Cromell, the ceremony we had to designate Gallaudet Street as Alexander Cromell Way. All of those meetings went very well. We are happy things are moving forward. One thing I just want to flag that there was an issue where someone is harassing a business owner and stating that they are the ANC commissioner. That is not true. I just want to make that public that that is not me. And if someone is having issues like that, or if someone is getting harassed, they're saying it's the ANC, please contact me at 5D02 at anc.dc.gov. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. 5D03.
Hi, this is Anna Roblin. I'm 5D03. So I want to thank Andrew D'Antonio and Matt Burns, who are our first tablers right outside the Trinidad Farmers Market. They're in our beautification committee, and they gave out a lot of tree brochures. By the way, you can get a free tree planted anytime you want. Contact me. I'll get you the information on how. So they said it was really pleasant, a lot of fun. They gave everyone flyers about the ANC and tree flyers. Then if anyone would like to table, please let me know. We have some important information here that about the Trinidad Farmers Market. It's open every Sunday from 9 to 1 at Joe Cole Rec Center, 1299 Neal. Entrance is right on Neal. I just got a letter from Mr. Young Kim, who runs the market, and he said it's not doing well. He had some vendors leave because of slow traffic. He said another one of the main vendors will leave if they don't get a good showing this Sunday, and they may have to close permanently unless they really get more people going to the market and buying. So please, pass the word around, tell everybody we don't want our farmers market in Trinidad to close. I also have a very important urgent safety situation. A week ago, DDOT removed the crosswalks at M Street on Florida. Walking down M Street from Florida is a short walk to the M Street entrance of the Noma metro station. So everyone goes there for that reason. They go back and forth. So we, at the same time as they did that, they aligned the traffic signal so cars could go much faster. Now cars are going even faster down Florida than they used to be. And walking, we, ANC commissioners, we had, me and two commissioners, Cage Chatterjee and Christy Kwan, we've been monitoring the Florida Avenue construction, and we had asked them, they told us they had wanted to get rid of the crosswalks. We had told them we think it's extremely unsafe. I think it is extremely unsafe, especially now with the faster speeds. But just everyone will cross at M Street, even though they could cross at 6th or 7th, just because everyone is so used to doing it, and that's where the road to the metro is. So we got a letter from DDOT Director Kirschbaum saying that DDOT will wait before removing the crosswalks and monitor to see if people will cross at 6th and 7th before removing it. But the project management just ignored her directive, and they removed them anyway. So we think this is just unacceptable, and it's extremely unsafe for pedestrian and bikes and scooters. So,
okay, we're coming up on time, Commissioner.
Yeah, I just want to put in the chat for anyone that will write. I have a bunch of CCs in a DDOT grievance form. I'm going to put it in the chat if people could write to request that they not do that. And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. 5D04.
Nothing from me tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner. I am 5D05, that is Northern Trinidad. We had one of the opportunities to test out the drug-free zones here in 5D05 last month. We were the first in the 5th District to go ahead and implement those. For those that live in the area, it was towards the northern part off of Rom Street, Montello, and Mount Olivet Road. Part of Sims Place as well was also covered, in part of Trinidad Avenue. Speaking with the commander, we understood that the drug-free zones did stop some of the loitering in some of these areas, particularly in front of the supermarkets, in front of Mount Olivet Road, and specifically the Northeast Supermarket. There wasn't any out of the ordinary extra arrests during the period that the drug-free zones were in place. And for those residents that are curious, these drug-free zones come back into play into the specific areas that have already been in use when they see that the crime activity has not decreased or there hasn't been any change. So from my understanding, we probably would not see the zone implemented again unless there's an uptick in crime. And that was from the commander, but we did appreciate them implementing the zone, testing it out, seeing how it would work here in 5D05. Outside of that, just friendly reminder, the street sweeping has started as of last month. I see a lot of blocks in 5D05 and Trinidad in general that we have neighbors that still do not move their vehicles. Friendly reminder, the tickets are $45 or $50. So if you are a neighbor that sees that your street is not getting street cleaned by the street sweepers, do a simple call to 311, pick up your phone, dial 311, and wait until you get an operator and ask for parking enforcement for the street sweeping. They come out, Miss Braxton is a very lovely individual, and she was great at getting tickets out on my block, and it helped some of the neighbors get the rhythm back into street sweeping. So please take that into note. If you need to see that specifically on your block, it's a simple call to get that done. As well, we have neighbors that have requested speed hump requests on 11th Place. When it comes to speed hump requests, this is just a note for the public. DDOT gets a lot of these every week. Every month they get hundreds of speed hump requests. Everyone in the city wants them because folks just are not the best drivers in the city sometimes. And there's a long waiting list, and they do it based on priority and needs. So to expedite some of these requests, I always tell neighbors to also make a request for a traffic study on their block to see if they can make use of the time while they wait. But because the fact is that sometimes we don't get these requests pushed forward is based on just the need of having these speed humps in other parts of the city compared to maybe our block specifically. I will say, since I've been ANC commissioner over the past 3 years, we have gotten 3 blocks with speed humps. So I'm very proud that DDOT is able to move forward on that. I think that's pretty good for DDOT. It's not the most quickest agency to respond to needs, specifically if it's something like a speed hump request. So if you think there's a need for it and it doesn't obstruct traffic, feel free to reach out or directly go to the DDOT website where any resident of the district can submit them themselves. With that being said, you know how to reach me at my email. I'm also available via phone. A lot of you all as neighbors call me, and it's really good just to hear voices. And when there's something happening or someone in need, so I take phone calls a lot better than emails. But continue doing what you're doing. The neighborhood is really moving in a great direction over here on our end, and I'm really proud to call a lot of y'all my neighbors. With that being said, we have 5D06.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Commissioner Kathy Henderson, representing Single Member District 5D06. If you have not received a copy of the newsletter, let me know and I'll make sure that you get it. I may be reached at khenderson029@aol.com. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Commissioner.
Additionally, the mayor's security camera rebate program has been updated with a request for all residents with security cameras to register those cameras to give MPD access. I encourage all of my residents and all of the residents in 5D to take advantage of this opportunity to give MPD access as needed. There won't be any penalties. You will not be subject to any unreasonable searches and seizures. It simply gives MPD the opportunity to know if something happens in our community, that there is a camera in the vicinity that is a possible source of recording. We're continuing to have the weekly cleanups that are very successful. Residents are urged to come out to join us. I have a core team. We clean up the community every Saturday from 9 to 1 p.m. And we have people participating, and we certainly like other people to participate as well. Regarding the drug-free zones, we did have one that encompassed parts of ANC 5D06, 7 that also affected us. And the drug-free zones were modestly successful. We had 1 arrest at the Starburst Plaza, and we expect much more given that there are ongoing concerns there. I am pleased to present again that DDOT has responded to 96% of my request for repairs at the Starburst Plaza. So even though this is in 5D07, my constituents, you are adversely affected. We want to use it, and we want to make sure that it's clean and safe and attractive for all. Again, my email address is khenderson029@aol.com, and I look forward to hearing from anyone that happens to be a constituent that I haven't yet interfaced with. And I continue to be concerned about the expenditures of this commission. I am following up with the DC Auditor, the Office of the ANC, and the Office of Inspector General. Thank you, and any questions, feel free to contact me at 202-556-5823.
5D07.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Juan McCullum, 5D07. I'm going to be brief. I want to publicly congratulate the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. There was a street renaming on Moore Street, Etna Brown Coleman Way. That was on last week. And so we appreciate the community for coming out, and certainly appreciate our Councilmember Parker for inviting me to participate in the event, but also including folks in the community. Commissioner Henderson was there. Thank you for attending. But there were a number of constituents that came out as well, and we really do appreciate you all coming out for that. We also had the drug-free zone. I think that's been mentioned, particularly for my SMD. It was Neal Street, Maryland Avenue, Holbrook, and Moore Street. As Commissioner Henderson reported, there was only one arrest at Starburst Plaza, but I've been in talks with Commander Altieri, and we do expect that there will be an uptick and there will be more surveillance over in that area. I do agree that Starburst Plaza is an area that would be very useful for all of us. And because of that, the council member's office and I have decided that we're going to do some type of outreach and resource fair there, not just a regular resource fair where you just bring folks out for one day, they're there and they're gone. We're trying to come up with an idea where we can kind of target that area throughout the entire summer and not necessarily one hit and then we're done. So we're working with that. That's forthcoming. Hopefully I'll have something more to report during our next meeting, if not before then. I'd like to take the opportunity also to let you all know that there's a couple of housing fairs that are going on, particularly on April 12th, April 19th, and April 26th. There's the fair housing and rental screening in DC that will be taking place for any constituents all over the 5D that may be interested. And then on April 19th, there's the DC source of income protections for individuals with housing vouchers. I've had a number of folks to ask me, what's going on with vouchers? How can they get a voucher? What should they do with their vouchers? If they would even meet the threshold to receive a voucher. So that's a particular program that may be of interest. And then also on the 26th of April, there's the affirmative fair housing marketing for property managers. And we have a number of properties here in 5D07 that I believe would be very productive for those individuals to attend that. And then also a final resource that I'd like to mention is that the mayor's office is providing, in conjunction with the small development and also the returning citizens, MOCA, they're providing an opportunity for everyone to register for a free refurbished Chromebook. And this will take place on Digital Empowerment Day, which is April the 24th. For those that are interested, please let me know. There's a link. You will need to apply for this by noon on April the 19th. But I think that this would be a very good opportunity for those individuals who may not have proper technology in your household. Please, please, please take this opportunity to apply. If you send me an email at 5d07@anc.dc.gov, I'd be glad to share the information with you. I look forward to talking to you all. If you need something, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. 5D08.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to keep it short. I was going to make some notes about the camera program that Commissioner Henderson mentioned, so just reiterating that. I think it's a good thing for folks to check into if you're interested. Also appreciated some of the other notes folks shared about things like street cleaning and whatnot, so I'll avoid being repetitive on those fronts. I did want to mention we got some new striping and a speed hump and a raised crosswalk on 19th Street between Maryland Ave and M Street over in Carver-Langston. That went in at the end of March, which was great to see. I think that makes that road a little bit easier to navigate, which was something I was excited about. That is really my major update for this month, so it's good to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And 5D09. Commissioner Blacknell, any reports today? Can you hear us, Commissioner Blacknell? Wave if you can hear us. It looks like there might be a lag on your signal. Okay. Commissioner Blacknell, we'll come back to you if you have a moment to speak. Okay, we'll come back to you, Commissioner, if you're able to speak. Okay, moving forward, we have our folks from the 5th District here to share some stats. Who do we have tonight? I see Lieutenant Miller. Okay, they've been promoted to panelists.
Yeah, I'll text you.
Hello, Lieutenant Miller. How are you?
Good. How are you? I don't know, can't see me, but I'm here.
We can hear you. You can go ahead.
All right, there we go. All right, how you doing, everybody? I got the stats for just ANC 5D. All the numbers are down: 0 homicides, 0 sex assaults, 3 ADWs, 3 robberies, 2 burglaries, 27 theft from autos, 52 thefts in general, and 27 motor vehicle thefts. All that data came from DC crime cards. You guys can check that on website yourself. And then overall for the city, or just for the 5th district, homicides are down, ADWs are down, robberies are down. Only thing that is up is motor vehicle thefts, which is we have 20 more compared to last year. We had 307. We have 323 right now, so a little less than 20. And then burglaries, we have 1 more burglary this year than we had last year. And sex abuse cases, we have 8 this year. We had 7 last year. So there's the stats just for the 5th district in specific 5D. Anybody has any questions for me?
Okay, I'll allow the public to ask questions within the Q&A. And I see some questions from commissioners that I didn't get to, so I apologize to the public for that, but we'll get back to those questions. But for any commissioners that have questions for the 5th district, feel free to use the raise your hand function and and I'll acknowledge you in order. And for the public, feel free to use the Q&A to drop a question. If you are one of our seniors, feel free to use the hand function yourself so you can ask the question directly. Starting with commissioners, do any of the ANC commissioners have any questions for Lieutenant Miller?
I do.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, good evening, Lieutenant Miller. Can you tell us how many times the officers who were patrolling during the drug-free zone asked any member of the public to disperse? Focused on 830 Bladensburg Road, Bladensburg and L Streets Northeast, next to the market, and at the Starburst Plaza. Well, actually exclude the Starburst Plaza because I understand that at no time was anyone asked to disperse, and that's a requirement or provision of the drug-free zone. But if you could talk about the rest of the areas that included Holbrook and Neal Street.
Yeah, so the Holbrook and Neal Street one, the one arrest that we had there was for a failure to disperse, and that was done by Lieutenant Devlin over there by the cross street from the market. He went by there, and there was some individuals.
Great.
They were drinking and apparently were smoking marijuana. Asked them to leave. They went around, came back 15 minutes. They were still there, and that was the arrest there. I believe we also had 1 arrest at the Starburst Plaza drug-free zone. I'm not sure if that was for the failure to disperse or if it was for something else. It might have been something stemming from over at the CVS. The newest drug-free zone is going to be in Saratoga. And that's all we have for those right there. I don't have the exact number of times that the officers made the disperse order, but each day that the drug-free zone was in operation, we have an officer stationed there, as well as the officers that are in that PSA are also supposed to be in the area.
Do you have the name of the suspect that Lieutenant Devlin arrested for failure to disperse?
Let me see. It's gonna take me a second. I can email that to you because that was like a couple weeks ago.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'd have to email. If you email me, I'll be able to email you back and give you the suspect information. But that was the one that that was actually the first arrest in the entire city for the drug-free zone. And I think at one point we were the only district that have any arrests in the drug-free zones.
That's good to hear. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, we have Miss Diggs here available to speak and ask a question. Miss Diggs, you are unmuted and can speak.
Good evening. How are you, Lieutenant Miller? This is Juanita Diggs at 5D09. And I was wondering, because I can already see the inklings of what portends to be a busy summer here on 21st Street between Maryland and M. If there's going to be more police presence here, though we weren't a part of the drug-free zone. Well, we're in the general area. But I can already see that it's going to be a busy summer here, just with a few warm days that we've had. And I know that our Commissioner Blacknell supports this issue.
Yeah, yes. I mean, last year 5D started off the same way with these low numbers, and when the summer started right around this time and spring break happened, the numbers went through the roof. But we do have daily overtime spots for these areas, these high concentration zones, the commander calls them. We have them at Saratoga, Trinidad, Eckington, Union Market, Starburst, and Brooklyn. And it also changes based on the trends. So just a couple weeks ago, it was Maryland Avenue, Benning, Bladensburg area. But when they did the drug-free zone, it kind of got collapsed into that. But all those areas that if you don't have a drug-free zone, they're still getting the officers. We have overtime to supplement because we are short staffed. So officers are still signing up for the overtime, and we have people in these areas each day, 24 hours a day. So from 5 a.m. until, let's see here, 2300 is when they have overtime for, and the other ones are just backfilled with the section officers.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure that you won't forget that this area needs a little love too. Thank you so much, sir.
No problem.
Hey, Lieutenant, I don't see any of the commissioners with questions nor anything in the Q&A. I know the commander was present at our Citizens Advisory Council meeting last month and did a really good breakdown of some of the stuff that was going on. And for the public, I happened to record the meeting and it's on my Instagram account. So if you're interested in knowing what was shared, feel free to go there. But Lieutenant, I think that's all we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us.
All right, no problem. Like I said, shoot me an email, stephenm.miller@dc.gov. And if I can't find the answer, I'll find somebody that can, and we'll get back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Lieutenant. You stay safe out there.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. With that being said, I believe we did have a question from Skip Keats for Commissioner Roblin. Commissioner Roblin, where is the Trinidad Farmers Market?
Okay, the entrance is on Neal Street. You know Joe Cole Rec Center. It's right next to Wheatley School. You can't miss it. Sunday from 9 to 1. Yeah, you can't miss it. It's close to the outside. If you walk by it, you'll see it. It's close to Trinidad Avenue. It's on Neal, close to Trinidad Avenue. Sorry.
Got it. 9 to 1 on Sunday.
Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Cooper, I see that you have a question, but MPD already left. We can follow up in terms of knowing whether the request to disperse is always supposed to predate arrest, which I believe so, but MPD can answer that question directly. Okay, with that being said, we'll move forward with the remainder of the agenda. Just a second, I'm trying to manage here. Okay. With that being said, we have a special presentation today for the Department of Parks and Rec, Public Recreation, DPR, I'm sorry. And we have Mr. Christopher Dyer here with us today. I'm going to elevate him to panelist. Again, friendly reminder, any questions, drop them in the Q&A. And for our seniors, feel free to use the raise your hand function to ask the questions directly.
Good evening, ANC 5B. It's very excited to be coming to you live from, well, home at this point. I do have a PowerPoint to share with everyone, our slide deck, and it's great to see all of you in person. I know I've had interactions with several of you, and here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer.
This is very exciting. We finally have mastered technology after 2.5 years. So, and it's also a delight. It's also quite fitting that the security camera program was announced today, or the Connect camera program, because prior to working for the DC Department of Parks and Rec, I ran the private security camera rebate program. And I'm sure Commissioner Henderson will remember many of the great conversations we've had about this. So anyway, back to something more fun. I am Christopher Dyer. I'm the Community Engagement Manager with the DC Department of Parks and Recreation. As a community engagement manager, my primary responsibility is to be the liaison to the ANC commissioners, civic associations, and anyone who has interesting questions about DPR. For those of you who don't know, we are the #1 park rank system in the country. We host programming and events year-round at 244 sites across 900 acres. And we have over 100 plus different capital improvement projects in our construction pipeline, including the fantastic pipe project at Cromell, which is how we get to work with Commissioner Rhodes. Here are some sites for those of you who don't know. Here are the sites that we have in ANC 5D, Brentwood Hamilton Field, Cromwell, Joe Cole, and Trinidad, which Commissioner Guzman and I had a really great walkthrough a couple of weeks ago, and I'm pleased to report that we are still waiting to get those 2 other additional cars towed, but DPOW is on it. Here's some stuff about DPR connections. Here we have a lot of fun websites. DPR.events is the site that you go to see all the upcoming events at DPR. DPRprograms.com is our primary driving force, where all the programs are. I'll talk about that later in the presentation. DPR.dc.gov/locations helps you find the location of a DPR facility. And then DPR.dc.gov/permits is a one-stop location on how to host an event at a DPR site. If you have an event of more than 10 people at the site, if you're going to have more than 10 people at our event at our facilities, you do need to apply for a permit. Please give them time to respond. And then also dpr.dc.gov/DPR calendar has information about specific programs and permits at specific sites. If you also go to dpr.dc.gov and do a search on the facilities, each different website for each different rec center has a link at the bottom that shows you the specific programs that happen at that site, plus any permits that have been filed. That's sort of a relatively new invention. So DPRprograms.com is our primary, for those of you, probably anyone who's gotten to a program before has gone to the site. It's where we list all of our programs. We do programming year round in 4 distinct seasons. Our next set of registrations for the summer season are going to be May 14th and May 15th. May 14th is the day for all of our aquatics programs, and May 15th is for everything else. So if you haven't had a chance, go to dprprograms.com. Make sure you have a RecTrack account. Also, you can apply to get an reduced rate that will be valid for the entire year. So dprprograms.com is the place to go. We also have released our Ready to Play plan, which is our capital project plan for Parks and Rec moving forward. So visit readytoplaydc.com to see the plan and continue to provide feedback as we begin the implementation. That is it. It was a very short slide deck. If you have any questions about DPR activities or need assistance with any specific issue, please contact me at 202-702-9453 and then christopher.dyer@dc.gov. I am very excited to work with you guys. I work for the best agency in the city where the fun happens. I also happen to be an ANC commissioner myself, so I greatly appreciate the great work that you guys are doing on behalf of the city. And so I'm going to stop sharing and answer questions, because that's really the more fun part of this presentation. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Dyer. Just so the public is aware, in terms of your role in the community, what would you say that is, and how do neighbors engage you?
So my role is to go to these civic engagement, public engagement sessions. The best way to engage is to email me at christopher.dyer@dc.gov. We also have a customer care line at 202-673, and I should memorize this. We have a customer care line that people can call during the business day. There's an email address as well, dprcustomercare@dc.gov. If you see something at a park that needs to be maintained, or if you're at a rec center, for example, and you see something that needs to be fixed, your best bet is to just walk right up to the front desk and tell someone to submit a work order. For those of you who are not aware, the DC Department of General Services actually does all the maintenance of our sites. So they're basically the landlord, and we're their client. If you're at a park, though, you can now put in a service request at 311 at the mayor using the mayor's call center for DGS. This is a relatively new process that has just started about 4 months ago, and it's a game changer. You can also feel free to email me if you see something at christopher.dyer@dc.gov. And for those of you who have never been to a DC government presentation before, as always, we always ask for photos. Not sure why, but apparently photos are the coin of the realm. So if you can take a photo and send that to me in the description, I'm happy to do it. But try to go through 311 first as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Dyer. I'll allow commissioners to ask questions, and then friendly reminder to the public to drop the questions in the Q&A. We are not using the chat to get questions answered. And for any senior citizens, feel free to use the raise your hand function so we can allow you to ask the question directly. I believe Commissioner Henderson had her hand raised first.
Good evening, Mr. Dyer. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years, and you did an excellent job. While you were the primary steward of the Mayor's Security Camera Rebate Program, which continues to be my one favorite program in the city, and the money that has been allotted and expended for the Security Camera Rebate Program has been money well spent. And thank you for your new role. I'll be reaching out to you regarding some issues I have, but I just wanted to ask you, since you're here in this meeting, about the need for permits for commissioners that want to hold events. Commissioners are a part of the government, so we should not be required to get a permit to have an event at any recreation center. So would you speak to that and briefly?
Yes, actually, Commissioner, everyone is required to apply for a permit for an event, even the mayor's office. But we have a permit form for government in our special events permit form that you can complete as a commissioner. But we require everyone
Excuse
to
me.
have a
This is
permit.
the
That's the
time
main
when we
way that we make sure that you have stuff at the
One
rec
second,
center.
Mr. Dyer. Sorry, we're if you could just slow just down a little bit so the interpreters can catch up.
I apologize. We're actually going to switch interpreters.
No, so yeah, so
Perfect.
if you
Thank
apply for a
you.
permit, that's the way that we know what you need at the event. Like if you want to have tables and chairs. So it's just our process. Everyone's required.
Is there a fee for a commissioner?
There usually is not, except if there's going to be, no, there usually is not. I mean, it's waived. Obviously, though, if you're going to have stuff that requires staff to stay late, there will be a charge. If you're going to require us to bring a snowmobile, or something that requires us spending money, there will be a charge. But in general, for the most part, if you want to have a meeting in a room at our rec center, the fees are usually waived, which is why we have that form specifically designed for you guys. And I'm happy to send that link to you as well if you want to reach out to me via email. But
thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.
Thanks for the question. I appreciate it. And I appreciate working with you on the camera rebate program. I'm hoping that DPR can provide some programs that are even more spectacular. So.
Great. And friendly note, I have used that form that Mr. Dyer is referencing. It's much more simplified than when it used to be when I was a freshman ANC trying to get some stuff done in the community. And yes, correct. There's no cost to the ANC, but there are costs associated with any of the items that you might use that DPR has available. So friendly plug, Trinidad Day is August 24th. So we're working on the planning still, but Mr. Dyer has been very cooperative in making sure that I'm doing the right paperwork. So thank you for that, sir. Commissioner Rhodes had her hand up. No, I'm sorry. Commissioner Roblin had her hand up next.
Hi, Mr. Dyer. Thanks for all your help.
Thanks, Commissioner.
I just wanted to confirm, I think most people don't know this, but if you were a DC resident, you can have a free gym membership at the community centers that have gyms. And a lot of them do have a lot of equipment and other things. Is that right?
Yeah, we don't technically consider it a membership. You just walk up with an ID to check in, and also we sometimes ask that you have a RecTrack account as well, so that you can scan your ID in or proof that you are a DC resident. If you are a resident from outside of the District of Columbia, and this is also the same procedure for all of our outdoor pools, we do require that you get a separate membership and that you pay for it. But any DC resident can walk into any of our sites, and as long as they're able to prove that they're a DC resident, we allow access. So free of charge, no need for a membership.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I think a lot of people didn't know that. And they have good equipment in a lot of them. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner.
Commissioner Rhodes had her hand up next.
Yes. Hi. Hey, Chris. Nice
Hey,
to
Commish, how are you?
Good, good.
It's nice to see you in a different context.
Question, DGS.
Yes.
Do we have to report every time we see something, or does DGS automatically cares for the grounds?
It's helpful that you put a ticket in. We do not have, depending on I mean, some of our rec centers, obviously on the inside, our rec staff will see it, but we don't have, and some of our rangers might see something when they're opening and unlocking gates. But in order to get DGS's attention for our parks, obviously, if you see something, say something and put in the request. Unfortunately, we do not have staff roving around to our parks. It's one of our blind spots. So please fill it in or ding me. Pictures, put in the ticket, and we'll get it done.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And thanks for the question. And thanks for your help on Mel. It's going to be very exciting.
Commissioner May, you had your hand up next.
Hi, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for being here. I have two quick questions for you. My first one is, and you've obviously talked about DGS and their role. If we see things like a lot of litter on a playground or in park space, is that also DGS, or is that going to be routed? Yeah, that is DGS. Okay.
Always. Although if it's really bad, yeah. And by the way, just if I pivot, educational opportunity for those and for those of you at home, trash cans. The brown trash cans are DPW's responsibility, Department of Public Works. The blue recycling cans are the Department of General Services responsibility. That's one of my favorite little tidbits I try to impart that I learned where I worked here. Anyway, please go ahead.
No, that's great. That's the exact sort of nuance that we appreciate from you when you come to things like this. So thank you. My other question is just following up on something you and I talked about recently, which is the potential park space at 19th and L and Carver Langston. Wanted to see, for the sake of members of the public who might be here, if you have any updates to share and where DPR is in that process.
We are still planning, and I think we're working with our friends over at Department of General Services to get a contract and procurement out to find a design firm to do that. Once we have that team in place, we will begin our formal engagement around the capital project. If you have ideas or a request or information, or you need any updates or have any questions at all about the project, feel free to send me an email at christopher.dyer@dc.gov. We'll also start building up a stakeholder list because I know that there's a considerable amount of interest in the park. We are looking forward to starting the work. We're just not there yet. But rest assured, the money will still carry over, since it's capital, into the next fiscal year.
That's great. Thank you.
Perfect. Commissioner McCollum, you had a question?
Yeah, Mr. Dyer, thanks for being here. I appreciate you. I had a constituent last summer, and I just want to kind of go on record so we kind of know what to expect. But I had a constituent that contacted me last summer. They had their children visiting them for the summer, and they tried to take them into some of the pools, and they were getting pushback that the kids could not come in the pool because the kids did not have proper identification. And so I got a call that said, well, why can't we go to the rec center, and it's right here, and I live here, I own my house. And so I ended up trying to call and send an email, but I mean, it was at that moment, so you really couldn't get a clear answer. So I ended up going up to the rec center and talking to the young person that was at the desk and convinced him that I was a commissioner and the person lived here. And they said, well, we're not supposed to do this, but I'm going to let the kids in. And so, the constituent just said that, this was going, they didn't want to take the kids back, basically. So I want to know, what is the policy on folks who have children that don't live with them during the year, but they're here over the summer?
That's a very, very good question. So in the break, and that if you can send me that email and email me that so I can get absolute clarity. But my understanding is you can add children to a family account for RecTrack. And as long as the parent is a DC resident, that might get them in, But the problem becomes you have to prove residency for the children. And that becomes, an interesting thing. We had an issue with Camp Riverview where we had a similar situation where we were looking for bona fide DC residents to participate in the program. But please email me and I will run that through our RecTrack and our program operations team. We'll try to get that all cleared up. Because yes, when you go to the pools, it's very, very, there's not a lot of nuanced thinking in terms of admitting people to the resident. There's not a lot of leeway that our aquatics team has in letting folks in. But I will see if we can address that. So please follow up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Because it's one of those things. It's one of those things. We want to make sure that we are not letting people bring their kids in from like West Virginia or Maryland. But then there's also the issue that you have children who live with you during the summer. We got to figure out a way to sort of balance that.
And while on the topic, Mr. Dyer, is enrollment in DCPF schools enough to confirm residency for the children?
It usually is, yes. I know right now for Camp Riverview, we're asking for a report card from a DC school.
Great, perfect. Okay, I know some of the commissioners have questions, but I'm moving to the public first before going back to your second set of questions. Linda Vernoy, for DPR, do you have any free Cuban Rueda de Casino salsa classes for the public or seniors? If not, can you add this activity?
Cuban salsa class. We probably don't. And honestly, if we could find an instructor who is willing to offer that, then we would probably offer that class. That's a great suggestion. In fact, if you can forward that suggestion to me at christopher.dyer@dc.gov, I can send that to our sports teams. But right now, we're not offering that class yet. We do offer ballroom, I think. We offer some ballet, but it's usually something that we would have to find the instructor for.
Thank you, sir. JC Stevens, DPR Summer Camp Lottery. If one missed the deadline for the lottery, is there any opportunities for one to still apply? Example, when it opens for non-residents?
So yeah, that's a good thing. My suggestion to everyone is, and the way this is working, is that you check dprsummercamp.com daily, and any slots that open up will appear on that page. Right now, the way that the lottery had worked is, we had a wait list for programs. We're going through the wait list and offering slots to people who are on the wait list. And if they're turned down, once a slot becomes available, it's put to dprsummercamp.com. Although it is my understanding that we're having a pretty good, because we were able to start relatively early in the season, we're having a pretty good, the camp slots are pretty much filling up. But always check dprsummercamp.com. And if you missed the registration, I don't know if there's still time to look at Camp Riverview, but that might be an option as well.
Thank you, sir. Just a friendly note from Mr. Skip Keats. When available, can you convert the presentation to PDF and send it to the ANC so we can disperse to the public?
Sure.
Perfect. We appreciate that. We have a question from Kevin Horgan. Mr. Dyer, any chance of an indoor swimming pool being added to the Trinidad Rec Center in the next 5 to 10 years? DPR's map of indoor pools doesn't show anything with convenient walking distance to 5D.
Well, you do have Turkey. Yeah, Turkey Thick is a bit of a walk. Okay, so there is not a plan to put an indoor pool at at Trinidad. That being said, we have a capital, and I don't know if there's actually space on the site to add an indoor pool. But you are always welcome to make recommendations to us, and we can take that under consideration, especially if we go for develop a capital budget to renovate Trinidad. I've got Turkey Thicket on the brain. So when we do a capital project, that would be the opportunity. But you sort of have to ask, what do we take out on the site when you add an indoor pool? Plus, there's an expense to it. I know that there was a question about, possibly putting a dog park on the Trinidad site, but, you would have to basically level a field to get to there. So it's a balancing act. I hope that sort of answered the question.
Thank you, sir. And then final question, would DPR be responsible for cooking classes, Japanese, etc.?
We do have some cooking classes over at our Kenilworth site. We do not have a Japanese cooking classes where I know, but as we add sites that have cooking, we can look at offering that. Again, we also rely a lot on our program partners and volunteers to do some of the work that we can't cover as a staff. So if there's something there is of interest and there's a group that would like to offer the classes, I can certainly work on getting a partnership with them and then having that class offered.
Perfect. Okay, and final comment, how about converting the Rosedale pool to an enclosed pool?
Again, there is a capital, there is a budget for the renovation of the Rosedale pool. That would be something that would be a significant budget expense that I'm not sure we have to convert. It's not that easy.
Understood. Okay, before we let you go, I'll allow Commissioner Roblin and Commissioner Henderson to ask their questions. Commissioner Roblin, you had your hand raised.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to say that I feel like the rec centers are super underutilized because I think almost all of them are closed on Sunday, and I think it's most of them, or a lot of them are closed on Saturday. And then general, a lot of children, use the rec centers, and I think it's just like after school, it's just like not a lot of time, and a lot of families just don't get there because of that. It just seems like it's not making sense to me that they would be closed on weekends. I understand there's funding issues, but it just seems like the weekends are like it for kids and they're just closed. Thank you.
You hit it right on the head. It is a funding issue. If we had the budget, we would have some of our, we've just, like, for example, Deanwood, some of our indoor pools we now have open on Sundays. And some of our outdoor pools are open on Sundays, but we close during the week. So if we were to go to a 7-day operation at a rec center, we would have to cut the hours during the day. And so it's a balancing act. But that's a comment and a suggestion that has been certainly brought to our attention. And we'd get a very generous budget allocation from the city, but that might be something to explore moving forward.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson, final question.
Mr. Dyer, I just wanted to bring to your attention that there is supposed to be a pool at the Trinidad Recreation Center. It's been played, there's been a vigorous game of political football to take that off of the capital projects agenda, but there is a plan for a pool at Trinidad Recreation Center. Two, the community has spoken out many times over the years regarding no dog parks at our recreation centers. And I'll be reaching out to you so that we can have a further discussion, but I just wanted to share that with you since you're here now.
Yeah. Okay. So I was unaware in the 2.5 years I've been with DPR, I was unaware that there was any plan for a pool at Trinidad. And I'm happy to have this conversation with you about the dog park. There is no room currently on the site at Trinidad to add a dog park without repurposing something. So
thank you.
Yep. No plans.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. And we did discuss that when you in DGS with the mayor's office and the council member's office did a community walk at the rec center. We did discuss that dog park, and we understood that without removing some repurposing some of the land there, it wouldn't be a feasible task. And since I recognize that that rec center, Trinidad Rec Center, which is in my single member district, is there's a strong use of a lot of our youth using that space for multitudes of reasons. I wouldn't see that any neighbor specifically would want to say this repurpose this what we're using for the kids and use it for dogs. So I do appreciate your explanation when you gave us that walk in terms of why that wasn't easily possible. Not that it's not possible, but not easily possible. Okay, with that being said, there's no other questions from the public. The final question for you, Mr. Dyer, I guess, and how are the staffing hours assessed at DPR sites? Good question to ask as we're coming into the summer.
It's budget and also by use, I think. And
Interpreters
for
are
our
gonna
pools, we
switch.
try to, have.
The ASL interpreters are gonna go ahead and switch. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Honestly, I do not know the answer to that question, how we determine how staff is determined. But it's basically, I think, on, use of site, size of site, and we also try to be holistic and balance sites like our pools. We try to have the pools, and as we begin to close our pools each summer, I know we try to keep things open so that the most people can attend.
Thank you, Mr. Dyer. Before you let us go, if you can go ahead and drop your email in the chat, we would love to reach out to you if needed. We appreciate you coming out to tonight's meeting. I know you've been trying to join us for a while, and I'm happy it happened right now in April as we get ready for the summer.
Yes, and thank you guys. You guys were probably one of the most engaged and robust, ANCs with the questions. So I really appreciate the opportunity and look forward to continuing to work with you moving forward.
Perfect. Don't expect nothing less from the south side of Ward 5. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving forward with tonight's meeting, we have Mr. Floyd from Cure the Streets. Commissioner McCollum, do you see Derek Floyd on or available? They might be at that public safety meeting and couldn't join. If not, I'll give a, okay, that's what I figured. Just a second. For those who are not familiar, we have a site here at Trinidad right off of Mount Olivet Road that Cure the Streets is located at. And they make themselves available to the community in different ways. Some of the stuff that currently they're working on outside of acting as violence interrupters here in the neighborhood, they're holding strong fellowship and mentor opportunities for our youth. Specifically on Wednesday nights, they have the Girls Youth Program. If you are a young woman or a grown woman and interested in participating in fellowshipping with our young females in the neighborhood, feel free to stop by on Wednesday nights right there at the Cure the Streets office off of Mount Olivet Road across the gas station. They're more than welcome to take you in and see how they can plug you into that program. For the boys, we have the program on Friday night. It's been a very productive program that's helped build some of the resumes for some of these younger individuals. And Mr. Cody Wynn has stated that we have been able to get some jobs for some of the young men. Over here on our end, we do see some of our youth doing things we prefer them not to, but we are happy that Cure the Streets is acting to change some of the norms that we see our youth engaging in. I believe it was just 2 weeks ago, a couple Fridays ago, they did, oh, it was on the 29th, I believe. Cure the Streets was driving around the neighborhood, cleaning up specific blocks in the neighborhood. So if you were out on a Friday night, you might have heard the music as we had some of the neighbors and youth clean up the blocks. We cleaned the blocks from literally Mount Olivet Road up until Florida Avenue. So it was all Trinidad that Cure the Streets alongside the ONE's office, the Neighborhood Safety Engagement Office, was helping coordinate that as well. So I wish Mr. Floyd was here to attest to what happened. We did pick up a lot of trash. We even got some neighbors to call the cops on us while we were out there. But hey, we were doing good things, so nothing bothered us that Friday night. So it was a great way to spend a Friday night amongst community. Commissioner Henderson, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm very concerned. I want to reiterate my concern regarding Cure the Streets interfacing with children. I work with children, and we're required to have a full background investigation, including a FBI fingerprinting check. And I think it's inappropriate for anyone that has a criminal background, active or past, to be working with children. And I know that I raised this concern with the Office of the Attorney General, and I was told that they should not, they were doing an investigation because Mr. Wynn's organization had gone into the school and were attempting to counsel children, which is very inappropriate. Mr. Wynn is a 2017 alleged homicide suspect, and we are very concerned about the background of these individuals. So any work that they want to do to clean up is fine, but working with children should be off the table. And I'm going to revisit this issue with the Office of the Attorney General and the city, including the mayor's office, to make sure that we are not putting our children at risk just because we are desperate as a city for solutions to help our children to be more productive and not homicide victims or perpetrators of homicides and other crimes.
And I'll just add a comment stating that they're doing really good work. And I'm very proud that we have individuals like them in our neighborhood to take care of some of the matters that police officers alongside ANC commissioners cannot handle directly based on whether bridges have been burnt over past experiences or bridges just don't exist. So I do appreciate Cure the Streets being available in Trinidad. As a Trinidad resident and neighbor, I am proud to say that they are doing great work, especially alongside our youth. And whether or not an alleged act occurred, people deserve second chances, and I'm very happy that they're using those chances to give back to their community. So with that being said, we'll move forward with the agenda, and we have voting action items. These voting action items will be permitted to share information for at 10 to 15 minutes with questions proposed at the end. Our first voting action item is a letter of support for Minetta Tavern, and then we have a BZA matter to discuss. Commissioner Roblin, friendly note that the links that you shared for your resolutions and letters are not accessible, so make sure that they are accessible to be used. A friendly reminder to please stay muted while the presentations are held. We have a Q&A function for folks that want to drop questions. Our seniors can use the raise their hand function to ask questions directly. If you are here on behalf of Minetta Tavern, can you please raise your hand so I can promote you to panelists, as well as the folks presenting for the BZA matter. Commissioner Arbuckle, are you available? Is he present?
Yes, I'm here.
Perfect. Did you want to briefly introduce the folks from the tavern before they start their presentation and what they're asking for?
Sure. So the Minetta Tavern is asking for permission to create a slight uh, balcony. And I'm sorry that you can't see me. It's dark in here. And they're, I'm sorry for this. I would they, let's have them go ahead and present.
Sounds good. They should be promoted to panelists. So are the folks from another tavern available?
Yes, we're here. Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Good. Are you do you have your camera available, or?
I don't think I'm camera ready. If
Do you have a presentation to share, Ms. Kim?
no. So I do have all we have are the architectural drawings for the proposed canopy.
Mm-hmm.
How exactly do I go about sharing that?
You should have the function at the bottom of the screen to share screen.
Yes. Okay, so let me pull up the drawing first. But in the meantime, while I do that, so I am the permitting liaison for Minetta Tavern. And
One
currently,
second, Ms. Kim. Commissioner Henderson, I'm muting you because there's reverb coming from your audio. Please stay muted until a portion allows us to speak and ask questions. Go ahead, Ms. Kim. I'm sorry.
no problem. I am the permitting liaison for Minetta Tavern, which is a restaurant we are proposing. And right now we are doing a complete rehab of the building that we will be occupying. And we are seeking approval from DENA for a new awning in the rear of the building. That area is about to undergo serious renovations to make the alleyway pedestrian heavy, along with renovations to the surrounding alleys, the sidewalks, the streets, and the whole 9 yards in, I believe, partnership with Eden and DDOT, or the District of Columbia. Um, okay, I'm sorry, I'm pulling up the drawings here. So I have ownership here with us, and basically, we would like to get permission or get the ANC's backing to do to put in the awning while we are under construction for the entire property, which is a little unprecedented because typically DDOT only approves awnings of this size for sidewalk cafes. Now, we do have a sidewalk cafe that we are proposing in the future, but for now, we cannot install our sidewalk cafe because the alley is going to be undergoing this major renovation in the upcoming months. I'm going to share my screen now. Can you tell me if you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this here is Minetta, and we are proposing a retractable awning. As you can see right here, we have so far gotten approval from FEMS because the alley is larger than the typical alleyway. Therefore, when our awning is extended, we still have the 20-foot minimum requirement for emergency vehicles and city service vehicles. And in case of anything needed, we can always retract this awning, as you can see here in the screen that I'm sharing. So we honestly, we just would like to get permission to install the awning now while we are under construction, while we have the crews on site, and prior to the restaurant opening.
My apologies. This is a sign language interpreters. We are going to make a switch. If you could just hold for one moment.
Sure, no
Okay,
problem.
for the interpreters moving forward, could we not switch during a presentation?
We'll do our best.
Thank you.
As I was saying, we have approval from Office of Planning, aka Historic, who also have no problem with us installing the awning now instead of waiting until the restaurant is open and the alley work is complete, because we have yet to receive any information as to when that work may be completed by the city, which is why we're here. It's not a big item.
Understood. Thank you, Ms. Kim. Was that everything in terms of the information you wanted to share before we get to questions?
Yes. It's really
Perfect.
basic, really simple. We just want to throw it onto the building while we have the crews there, while there is no need to worry about customers, and we're still doing work under our other active building permits issued by DOB. We're also getting ready to do some work in the front to improve the sidewalks. Per DDOT inspectors, they are asking us to increase our limit of disturbance for the utility lines that we had put in. They want us to extend and do, I think, 17 feet in each direction of rehab on the sidewalk, which we are currently working out with DDOT right now.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Kim. I'll allow ANC commissioners to use the raise your hand function to ask questions, as well as any of our seniors in the regular group. If there's any questions from the public, please drop them in the Q&A. Ms. Kim, in terms of this construction project, is there anything that this particular request is changing to maybe specifically how the regular construction is affecting the public? Is there anything that this specific ask is changing or making the plans a little more complicated?
No, because this is taking place in the rear, and we're attempting to do it before the city moves in, and we're attempting to do it before we open the restaurant to the public. At this time, no, it will not be affecting.
And you're making this request because you prefer not to wait till the current construction is completed to lose time?
Yes, and also for ownership sake, uh, it's just much more cost efficient and um, just less stressful to get this installed while we have the construction crew there. We have after hour permits. We just really would like to get this done while we're working on the facade of the building, because this is a extensive rehab of that existing structure. I mean, we're working from the top to the bottom. There's roof work, there's interior work, there's exterior work. The only thing that we could not get permitted during the overall building permit review and permitting of the building and restaurant and the change of use and all of those things was the awning, because it is a public space item. And as we all know, DDOT uh, takes the ANC's opinion. It weighs heavily on the public space committee hearing and whether they are inclined to approve a project or not, which is why we opted to present to the ANC to ask for your favor.
Thank you, Ms. Kim. I have Commissioner Rhodes asking a question.
I believe Henderson was before me.
Sorry, I was updating the agenda. Commissioner Henderson, you had a question?
Yes, regarding, I think that the addition of an awning is really non-controversial, but I just want to make sure I heard clearly. Did you say in the beginning of your presentation that the awning is oversized? And why is it oversized if that is in fact what you said? And given the ANC's possible support, would you be willing to make the awning a size that is not oversized and that comports appropriately with the configurations of your space?
Yes, I'd be happy to answer that. So no, there's not technically a thing as oversized awnings. There are categories for awning when it comes to permitting. An awning over 4 feet, ours is projected at 5 feet, but an awning of over 4 feet is typically meant for a sidewalk cafe, which we are proposing in the future. We are preparing to submit for permitting on that, but we are still waiting on word from the city as to when they are going to do the construction in the alley. And the reason that is significant is because sidewalk cafes are annual rentals, and basically we pay for every day that we occupy public space. And we're trying to get things aligned so that we're not paying for public space that we cannot use, because we cannot use the alley, we cannot install the sidewalk cafe in the alley until the alley renovation has been completed. And because we cannot get a date on that, as of right now, we haven't gotten a date on that, which makes it hard for us to know quite when to submit for permitting for the sidewalk cafe, if that makes any sense.
So are you requesting a 4-foot awning or a 5-foot awning?
We're requesting a 5-foot awning.
Where a 4-foot is more appropriate?
No, a 5-foot is appropriate for the sidewalk cafe that will be coming in the future.
And why can't you use a 4-foot awning?
That's not what was designed by the design team for core, and also it would be inadequate for the egress when it comes to means of egress once the sidewalk cafe has been installed. So basically, it would not cover the sidewalk cafe area if we do only a 4-foot awning.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rhodes, you had your hand raised.
Yes, Ms. Kim,
Yes, ma'am.
were you aware that you were going to be in a meeting tonight?
Yes.
But you were saying that you're not camera ready. Did you know that the meeting was virtual?
Yes, I didn't know that it was a requirement that I show face on camera. I mean, I can turn my camera on if it's a big deal for you. It's just that my hair is a little sweated out because I was cooking dinner before this meeting started. But I mean, I'm happy to share my video. I'm here. I'm not a stranger.
You're beautiful.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you. I just didn't curl my hair. Sorry.
It's all good. We are all here tonight, just like you are. So we just want to see who we're talking to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. Were there any other commissioners with questions? Commissioner McCollum, you had a question?
Yeah,
Checking
thank
the
you.
Q&A.
I just wanted to ask again, I'm trying to kind of piggybacking off of Commissioner Henderson on this size situation, because I just don't want to get in this posture of always approving large awnings. And so would it not, so I heard two things. I heard initially that it was oversized, and normally these are not approved. That's what I heard. And then I also heard that really you could do this later, but to save the developer money, you would like for us to help the developer out.
Yes, the developer has undertaken extra cost to do the rehabilitation of the sidewalks and curbs in the front of the property. It's actually taking them several $1,000s over budget. I believe Roberta is on the line. Roberta and Boyan are on the line, and they can speak more to the extra cost that Minetta is taking on to revitalize the area around the restaurant itself. And then again, and to speak on the oversized thing, I want to specify there's really no such thing as an oversized awning. It's just that when DDOT considers things, so for example, if this was a 4-foot awning, it would not cover the sidewalk cafe that is being proposed for the future. But when they see a 5-foot awning, DDOT automatically knows that it is for a sidewalk cafe.
And so DDOT is against the sidewalk cafes?
No, DDOT is not against the sidewalk cafe.
Okay. And you spoke of some other individuals that are on the line. Are they available to get on camera?
Hi, yes, this is Roberta Delis. I represent the ownership. I'm totally available if you would like to.
Yes, I'd like to see everyone that's involved.
Yes.
And I think the last name was Boan.
Boyan Veselik.
Boyan, can we see who that person is as well?
They're joining as panelists.
Hello, Boyan here.
I can't see.
Hi, hello. This is Roberta Delis.
Okay.
And here is Boyan also.
Do you all have other developments in the city or other projects that you're working on in the city?
In DC? No.
Yes. Okay. Have nothing else. Thank you for agreeing to come on camera.
Oh, please. It's a pleasure.
You're
Nice
welcome.
meeting you all.
Is Commissioner Arbuckle still on the
I'm still here.
Okay, just making sure. Commissioner May, you had a question, and I would like to know what Commissioner Arbuckle's stance is on this, since it's in single member district.
Yeah. Hi, Kim. Thanks for coming, Kim and others. I wanted to quickly clarify, since we've gone back and forth on oversized and timing. It sounds like the only reason that, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, the only reason DDOT would currently be concerned about this construction is that the sidewalk cafe doesn't yet exist, and that it's just a matter of timing. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. So if you were to wait until when the sidewalk cafe were constructed, they would not have any objection to you putting this awning on.
None at all.
Okay. So it's really just a matter of doing things in the opposite order to align with your construction plan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That sounds very reasonable to me. Thank you.
Commissioner Arbuckle, final comments?
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to say that I am supportive of this project. As Union Market, as that alley begins to develop a little bit, I think that this project is a good addition to it, and will be beneficial to the community at large. So I support this.
Okay, with that being said, Commissioner Arbuckle, did you want to place a motion on the floor?
I would like to move that we grant the request that we grant the letter of support to Minetta Tavern for a new lightweight combustible retractable awning attached to the exterior of an existing building on the ground floor.
Can Commissioner Arbuckle get a second for this?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner May. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Can the commissioners use the raise your hand feature if you're in favor of the motion? Commissioner McCollum, are you taking the vote? I'm sure you are. Of those opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, this motion carries. This resolution is being approved by ANC 5D. Commissioner Arbuckle, get with myself and Commissioner Roblin to get signatures, and Minetta Tavern, congratulations on the support from 5D.
Thank you very much. We would like to, we really appreciate.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the information. Thank you, Ms. Kim, for coming on camera. Y'all have a good rest of your night.
Thank you.
You guys got me looking a little
Good night to
ragged.
everybody.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And you
So
look
with that,
Is it okay for us to leave the meeting at this point?
you're more than welcome to, ma'am. You're more than welcome to.
Same
Thank you,
for Boyan
Commissioner.
and I assume.
Okay, with that being said, we have a BZA matter that we would like to discuss today. Let's see.
And this would be a good time to switch the interpreters, hopefully.
Perfect. As
Thank
we're
you.
getting that situated, feel free, I'll remove the spotlight. Sorry, there's a lot of components
Perfect.
here.
And Commissioner, while we're doing that, if I could give my caveat.
Yes, sir, please do.
Because of my day job, I am conflicted out of considering any matters regarding zoning and land use, so I will go off video and off mic and take no part in consideration of this matter, and I will come back when we vote on it so that I can vote abstain.
Perfect. Thank you so much. For the commissioners that are not speaking during the presentation, if you could just cut your video feed so we have only the developers and the interpreters available to present and speak. since we have a few folks speaking on this project. I'm going ahead and mute commissioners and stop video feed. Okay, we have Ms. Stewart and Mr. Cross here available to speak on BZA matter 21091, which is at 828 21st Street Northeast. Thank you for joining us tonight. Friendly note to the public, these folks have been heavily active and engaged in conversations with ANC 5D through our zoning committee, as well in attendance during our COW meeting. And for those that are active on our YouTube page, that meeting, those meetings are readily available there for any information that you might want to check out further. But with that being said, this is your presentation. Go ahead and take it from here.
Appreciate that. May I share my screen?
Yes, sir.
So, as mentioned, we're here tonight presenting on behalf of the applicant for a project located at 828 21st Street Northwest. My name is Michael Cross. I'm the principal architect responsible for this job.
Northeast, sorry.
Sorry, Northeast. Thank you. Joined here tonight by Elizabeth Stewart, who is our senior project coordinator. This application is seeking relief for two zoning sections. The first is for relief for a rear addition, which extends more than 10 feet past the adjoining neighbor. The second area of relief is for modifying an existing architectural rooftop element. The property is proposed to become a 3-unit multifamily structure with a 3rd-story addition and rear addition. The two units are being proposed to be family-sized, 2-bedroom, 2-bath units, with a 3rd unit that's going to be a 1-bedroom, 1.5-bath. Outside of the rear addition, the rest of the proposed volume is proposed to be matter of right with the requirements of this zone. This is the existing front and rear of the property as it exists today. As seen, this property is already a bit taller than the two adjacent properties with its existing 2-story facade. This is the existing site plan. The existing lot occupancy of the structure is currently around 26% of the lot. The owner is proposing a rear addition, which expands that footprint to the maximum allowable 60% lot occupancy. This is the proposed site plan. The zoning code only requires 1 parking space for this development. However, the owner is proposing 2 compact spaces at the rear of the property. There will be a dedicated trash space also at the rear of the property. And as shown, we're proposing an addition which projects 26 feet beyond the adjoining neighbors, which is 16 feet beyond that which would be allowed as matter of right. Again, the proposed footprint is conforming with the allowable lot occupancy of 60%. The only relief is for an addition that's longer than 10 feet. The second area of relief is to modify an existing rooftop element, and that's in order to shift the existing mansard roof up to accommodate the increased second floor heights. The proposed mansard is intended to be in keeping with the neighboring structures, and the brick facade at the front of the building is proposed to be maintained. We've met with the zoning committee, and based on their feedback, as well as the feedback of many of the commissioners here tonight, we have revised the front facades to be that which we've presented tonight. Additionally, our client has been in touch with both of the neighbors. The neighbor to the south, which is 826 21st Street Northeast, that person is the least affected because they receive no shadows from this property. Our client has met with them in person. They did express some concern about the conversion from a single family home to a 3-unit apartment house. However, reportedly, they acknowledged that they understood that this was allowed as matter of right, given the residential apartment zoning. And our client has received no objection to the relief being sought. Regarding the neighbor to the north, 830 21st Street Northeast, this property receives the most shading. It is currently a rental property, and our client has been in touch with the owner of that property. Again, they have received no objection, but they have not yet received any formal support for the project. We appreciate your time and welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you for the presentation. We'll go ahead and allow questions from the commissioners as well as the public. For the public, please use the Q&A feature to ask your questions. If you are one of our seniors, you can use the raise your hand function to ask your question directly. Since this is a zoning matter, I will allow our co-zoning chair also, Mr. Horgan, to be unmuted to speak if he would like to ask a question. With that being said, I'll allow Commissioner McComb to speak first since this is in his single member district before we proceed to other ANCs asking questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation. I want to, let me first get on camera. I do apologize. I've been contacted by the owners of 830 and the owners of 826. And from my conversations with them, both of them object to this building. Specifically the owners that I spoke to at 830 told me that they would support the measure, but if it did not go beyond with the additional, I guess, 16 feet that you all are asking for us to approve. I think that's the big hiccup that everyone, not only these two neighboring neighbors, but I've had a significant amount of contact from folks on the entire row about the building. Everyone is aware, and I kind of have mentioned to them that you do have by right to turn this into an apartment or multifamily dwelling, but they're just not in favor. This would be, I want to say, the second or third of a few buildings that are popping up on this street now. And so the neighbors are trying their best to hold this as close to residential, single family residential as possible. So with that, is there possibility for the plans to be reconstructed so that you all are not asking to go 16 feet beyond by right?
Yeah, I guess I would say that we're always open to working to reach some consensus. Unfortunately, we hadn't received that objection from our client, who has been in touch with both of those same neighbors. So I guess we need to get that communication going again. I'm not sure where the disconnect is.
Yeah, I'm not really sure either, but I've had the neighbors to come and knock on my door and ask me to come over and actually look at the property to see how far, it was going to be extended out, and for me to try to do whatever I could to stop it. And that's when we got into the whole communication about what was by right and what was not. And so, do you know if the client was able to, the letters that they're required to send to the neighbors, did they get any type of response back from those? Did they give them the due process period? And you all didn't receive any notification back from that? Or do you know if that was done?
Yeah, so for the BZA case, for this relief that's being sought, there is notification sent out to everyone within 200 feet. Our responsibility in that is we request that from OTR, that list, and then we generate the labels. The Office of Zoning actually produces and sends the letters. So we can't say for sure they were sent because we didn't physically send them.
Okay.
Um,
Go ahead.
I could speak to one other notification that likely has happened. We likely have already sent out the neighbor notifications to both 826 and 830 as part of the building permit process, that would go out for any project, whether it had relief or not. That that has a specific technical objection section, and I am not aware that we've received any objection on those letters either.
Okay. I am going to want to follow up with zoning just to see what type of response they received back from members within the 200 feet. I mean, I do understand your duty in this, but I would just say that some of the neighbors, I don't know what's going on in terms of the communication or where the breakdown is, but I do know that the majority of the block is just not in favor of it. I think that what you have here, though, I will commend and say that it looks very, very nice and befitting. It does not look like a multi-unit, but for the steps and the stairs that I see in the front. So I will say that it looks like a very well put together rendering. But I do think that there is just some recommendations in terms of asking for the 16 feet on the back side of it. I think that's where majority of the concern is arising, is from what you all want to do to the back. So for me, I can't support it tonight just because I owe a due to my constituents, and I do want to follow up with them on this. I would ask that you all would, I mean, if you would like for us to go forward with the vote today, I do understand. I'm going to ask my colleagues to not support it in order to give me time. But I'd also like to not, if we could, not take the vote. And I work with you all and I work with my constituents and see if together and collectively we can figure out a way to do this, and we can come together, united with the request that you all may have. Because any other way, I just see this as not being supported by those that will be impacted. And my vote will always be to support those individuals.
Yeah, understood. And I appreciate it. And again, it was not our intention to get here in this position. As you noted yourself, we've done quite a bit of outreach here in order to try to flush out these types of sentiments so that we could address them in a more timely manner. I guess we'll need to work together. We've got a hearing date on the 17th, as you're probably aware.
Just to jump in here, for the sake of time, we would note that if the commissioners are making that request to still work on this project with you all, that ANC 5D will like to request that you all submit an extension for the hearing itself into April. Just wanted to add that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was acknowledging would have to happen. It's best if we both make the same request. I think I guess what I can say tonight is I will present this to the client and work to try to get their support in making that extension request. It's probably going to push it out several months, unfortunately.
And also, do your developer have any other projects that they're working on that's in this area, in this particular neighborhood?
No, well, not that I'm aware of. We have done some work with this client before, and I think we actually have one current project with them, but it's in the northeast area, Burleaf. Sorry, northwest area, Burleaf.
And give me the name of the client one more time, please.
So I don't know the name that's on the application. It's an LLC. Our direct contact, let me make sure I've got the right last name. Lizzie, are you able to help me with Julie's last name?
Julie Fletcher.
Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Again, friendly reminder for the public, questions in the Q&A, and any seniors that want to ask questions directly, they can ask them by raising their hand and we'll unmute you. Question for you all. I know we've talked about particularly the facade. That was one of my concerns, is the original plans didn't marry well with the block itself. Do you still have that original rendering available so the public can see the difference in some of the changes that you all made since engaging us as commissioners on this project?
Yes, let me see if I'm able to access it. Lizzie, if you have access, I don't know if I'm on the network currently.
And my sentiments are very similar to Commissioner McCollum's in terms of the spirit of that block are single residents, single resident homes, and even though it's a matter of right to convert these to 3 units, I am acknowledging that I'm appreciating the effort to make this project at least look more similar to what the block is kind of coming into. Those original plans, if you're not able to pull them up, it's entirely fine. But I just wanted to show that what originally was proposed was definitely something that didn't sit well with me. And compared to what you all have right now, there's a drastic difference in change. So I would just want to acknowledge and just say respectfully, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that and appreciate the feedback. I think it improved the project. Again, we got that feedback and worked hard to get that turned around for tonight's meeting based on that feedback. Obviously, if we'd gotten the other feedback, we would have probably worked just as hard to try to accommodate that. It's unfortunate that we're getting into this situation where we're staring down a hearing. But we'll do our best to get that postponed and hopefully get your support here in the future.
Okay, Commissioner Henderson, you had a question?
One, I want you to start my video because there's no reason for you to disable my video. And you still haven't done that. But I will report this matter. This project is a pop-up. It's offensive. Mr. Cross, you did not notify the commissioners, all of the commissioners. You should have sent this project to me prior to this meeting. I see okay, the video is now started. This project is improper. It may be a matter of right, but it's disruptive to the role. I will be not only voting against this project, I will send a letter to the BZA decrying the entire process and the design. You can't come in and disrupt the role and claim it's a matter of right. You didn't do your due diligence. If your client couldn't make use of this project as a traditional single family home, although modernized, then your client should have reconsidered the purchase. But it's not justifiable to this community to continue to add pop-ups that disrupt historic qualities of our community, despite ongoing and past efforts to denounce the historic qualities of our entire community. This street and the rest of the streets in our community should have been a part of the Kingman Park landmark historic landmark designation, but they were specifically excluded. That notwithstanding, this is an affront to the entire community, and I will make sure that my voice is heard along with Commissioner McCollum's and all of the people in this community that will be adversely affected, all of whom I previously represented and still support as part of this extended, desirable community, despite efforts to come in and to undermine us.
I appreciate that. Like you said, I'm not aware that it's in a historic district. Obviously, we would work to respect that. And I don't think I mentioned it earlier, but it should be noted that this is the RF4 zone. So it's zoned for 3 dwelling units as a matter of right, as part of the city master plan. And so that's why we ended up here.
Perfect. Kevin Horgan, you had a question that you would like to ask?
I did, yes. Thank you. First, thank you for presenting to the zoning committee a few months ago. I guess my primary concern was the change in elevation at the front of the building. And the last time we saw somebody do that on a block, it was at 1212 Oaks, and they did it because they were trying to save costs by not underpinning as much. So I'm just curious if you could speak to the technical challenge which led to the elevation change. Like, was there a way for you to design the building and maintain the first floor at the original? Because I just think, the next door neighbors, like right now, even though there is development occurring on that block, when you go down there, all of the neighbors, their front doors are at the same level. And I just kind of don't like the idea of that occurring. But yeah, if you could just speak to what led to that.
Yeah, so I think the change in level at the first floor is really simply just to get increased light and air to the lower unit. Putting a residential unit in the existing cellar would not afford them with a high quality of light or quality of life due to the lack of light. And so raising the first floor was a response really just to get light there. I think what's interesting about this particular property, though, is it already is in the row. It's one of the ones that's already raised up. So while yes, the first floor elevation is similar to the others, it already does that jump up. And I think the project as designed does a good job of keeping the amount of shift proportional to what's there existing, even though we have raised the first floor.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I appreciate that answer. I know typically when people do do these conversions and do the underpinning, usually it's just the bedrooms in the cellar level. But in this instance, you actually have an entire unit down there. It's like the living room. So I appreciate that. Why you did it. And I think my second question is, and I know your job as the architect is to follow the client's brief. Is there a version where if you were designing 2-3 bed, because I know and I appreciate you're designing family size housing here. I think they're like 2-bedroom. I think one of them is a 2-bedroom plus den. If you would design instead 2-3 bedroom units, would that have allowed an overall smaller building envelope? I know some of the neighbors, if they're concerned about going back 26 feet,
could you have perhaps done a smaller building if it was 2 3-bedroom units instead of 3 2 and 1 bedroom units?
I don't know. I think to your point, there's always a variety of solutions. You know, I guess based on the feedback, we can potentially explore whether the client's willing to make any changes to try to accommodate a smaller footprint.
Okay, thank you. Final question for this. Skip Keats, can you touch on the current house does not have a mansard roof? It has a peak roof with a gable. A mansard roof would mean a roof rising from all 4 walls.
Yeah. I don't know if I object or have any sort of comment on that. I think that the neighborhood is the character of the neighborhood has a lot of mansards with dormers. This particular property has a mansard-like facing roof that does have a gable end to it, facing the front facade. Again, I think the intent was to try to provide a massing that was maintaining the character of the neighborhood.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Well, we're 13 minutes over on time. With that being said, as the chair for 5D, I will request if you all can submit an extension to postpone your hearing for another month. I think working with Commissioner McCollum, you might be able to find a resolution by our next ANC meeting, which is Tuesday, April 16th. I believe if you all get on top of this project, I don't think that your project will be pushed back so many months that you think it might be. But would this be something that you all would be fine with and presenting at our next meeting on the 16th? Not the 16th, the 14th, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll seek our client support for that and follow up with you.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to having you again next month with some alternatives and maybe some different renderings.
Thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one. Okay, Commissioner Roblin, you have the 2 final items tonight. Are you available to speak on them?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Just a second. We're making sure that all the commissioners are back in order. Commissioner Roblin, can you start your camera? I think that's you moving around on your laptops. Perfect. Okay, Commissioner Roblin, so you have submitted a resolution regarding the Amendment Act of 2023. For the public, these items are readily available on the agenda. They're linked in there for you to review. Commissioner Roblin, can you speak on the first resolution that you added to tonight's agenda?
Thank you, yes. So council members Phil Mendelson and Anita Bonds have raised a bill in the council that will stop all public ballot initiatives that need any money to implement. And I believe that the public should be allowed to make laws that cost money. I don't think it makes sense to limit any legislation to not costing any money. Pretty much all legislation costs something to implement, though it may not cost much. And if this bill passes, what they're trying to do, they could possibly stop any public initiative that costs anything. There already was the stipulation for this before they introduced this bill, but then 83 challenged the issue of costing money, and I believe that the Board of Elections voted in favor of 83 being able to cost some money. So now, because of that, Phil Mendelson and Anita Bonds raised this bill to stop any kind of money needed to stop any ballot measure that would cost any kind of money. So this would really limit what the public would have in our power to vote on and pass. If anyone is unfamiliar with what a ballot initiative is, some of the previous public ballot initiatives have been Initiative 71, which got us the legalization of marijuana, Initiative 77 and 82, which raised the minimum wage for tipped workers. Now we have 83, which they're gathering signatures for now, which will, if we vote for it, if the public votes to okay it, it'll give us ranked choice voting, and it'll give independent voters the right to vote in any party's primary. Yeah, if you'd like more information, please contact me, 202-651-0581, 5D03@anc.dc.gov. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, for describing the resolution. For any of the public that have questions, feel free to use the Q&A function to drop a question, and any of our seniors can ask them unmute themselves to ask a question directly. I see Commissioner Henderson has her hand raised and has a question.
Commissioner Roblin, thank you for your activism, but I think that the ANC is the improper forum for your activism. The commissioners are part of the government. Initiative 71, which unfortunately passed, has been a detriment to the District of Columbia and has taken what some considered fairness and equity in smoking marijuana on their porches to now smoking marijuana in the streets, on the metro, and everywhere they feel like it. The tipped worker Initiative 77 was misguided. Most people thought that they were helping tipped workers. That initiative actually harmed tipped workers. And Initiative 83 is just a nightmare in the making. These are efforts that are primarily pushed by persons who come into the district to specifically advocate, to mislead the public, to mislead by putting up misleading signings and taking advantage of the fact that we're not a state and that people have some concerns about these initiatives. So I actually agree with Councilmember Mendelson and Councilmember Bonds about limiting our resources that we expend on these misguided efforts pushed primarily by outsiders, and particularly in light of the fact that we have a budget that is just really bloated and we don't have any money to put forth on efforts that really don't benefit the citizens of ANC 5D or the citizens of our city as a whole. And I would respectfully ask you to rescind your resolutions. And I'm certainly, if you don't, I'm certainly going to vote against it and encourage others to look at this effort that, again, is being pushed by an agenda that doesn't serve our interest as residents of this fair city.
Commissioner May, you had a question?
More a comment, really. I wanted to weigh in and say that Commissioner Roblin, I'm supportive of the resolution. I think that it's well put together, and I agree with your perspective that it's a heavy-handed effort by the council to limit the opportunity for members of the public to put initiatives directly on the ballot, which I think is a worthy process. And what I'd say in addition to that is that whether or not we've agreed individually with the outcomes of past decisions, and I'll say some of the ones you mentioned, there are some where I actually share Commissioner Henderson's perspective. I think that the tipped minimum wage ballot initiative has had some unintended effects and has created a bit of a complicated situation. But at the end of the day, I think it was very clearly the will of the voters. And I do think it is important that we keep in place mechanisms for the voters to express their perspective on certain issues. So I'm supportive, and thanks for bringing the resolution to us.
Commissioner Cobb?
Thanks, Commissioner. I just want to sort of echo what Reed said and just emphasize that this is a matter of process and not the substance of any one specific initiative. And I support this resolution in large part because the funding requirement can often be weaponized in order to block bills that have been passed or have popular support. We've seen it time and time again where the council passes a bill with overwhelming support and the mayor, whether she vetoes it or signs it, vetoes it and is overruled. Either way, the law becomes law, but the mayor refuses to budget for it, claiming that they need to hire one more person and they can't implement it because they don't have that one more person, whereas the council will retort that, well, this is not going to require that much more work. You can just spread it among a couple people who are currently working there. And it gets into these technical, not even technical, just characterizations of how much work is required and how much money is required for work. And when it comes to municipal funding, it often seems like it's just monopoly money and magic. So I support this resolution in large part because we often see the council and the mayor fighting against implementing a law through funding. But this is unique in that it would allow even the council to block any sort of initiative on some made-up basis that it could possibly require some potential funding in the future. And so this prevents those in power from entrenching their power even more deeply and provides the people with an even greater voice or maintaining the current voice that they have as a popular people.
Are there any questions from the commissioners or the public? I see one from Skip Keats. I don't know if we can answer this question. How is the ANC in sense different from a town council when expenses an opinion about a state legal proposal? Alexandria City in Virginia certainly tells Richmond if it disagrees with something. Yeah, I won't touch on that because it could take us on to a longer meeting. But Commissioner Roblin, I do appreciate your activism within the ANC in terms of you proposing this to the commission for discussion and vote. This really this matter really hits home for folks that kind of see a push from older politically entrenched folks wanting to retain power on certain things. We see a lot of we see a lot of career politicians trying to keep as much power as they can, and we see them come about things in this way to stop some initiatives that the people want to see differently. So I do support this resolution that you're proposing. I do think it does help the little man, the little woman, the little folks at the end of the day. So continue to do what you're doing in terms of presenting these to the commission. Okay. With that being said, I don't see any other questions from the public. And we can move this to a vote. You can put a motion on the floor, Commissioner Roblin.
Oh, thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate those comments, everyone. So I motion to support this resolution, the resolution in opposition to the Initiative Amendment Act of 2023.
Can we get a second for Commissioner Roblin?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner May. We'll do a roll call. Discussion. It's 9:25, 3 minutes.
Yes, I'm not surprised that there are members of this commission that support moving forward with this ill-conceived, misguided motion and resolution. I'm really, I think it's inappropriate that the chairperson made comments that reference age, which is discriminatory. And I restate my concerns regarding spending money freely, recklessly
Nothing to do with this
on
resolution.
issues that have nothing to do with people who actually live here, but they're being used by outsiders who have an agenda, to change the District of Columbia, which happens to be our nation's capital, into something that they can control. I think we need to focus on what is in the best interest of the residents, the actual residents that live here, that have worked here, that have paid their taxes here, that have stayed here through good times and bad times, and who continue to support the district's quest for full voting representation and enfranchisement.
Any other comments or discussion to hold as we have a minute 34 seconds left? No. I would like to state that I made no comment on age. I made comment on entrenched career politicians that don't like to pass on the baton and instruct and mentor the next generation of leaders that we seek every day. And I wouldn't be surprised that someone as Commissioner Henderson would make the comments. With that being said, we'll end the discussion. If nothing else is needed, nothing else needs to be addressed on the resolution and rehold the vote. This vote, the motion is on the floor by Commissioner Roblin and second by Commissioner May. We'll do a roll call to confirm the vote. 5D01.
I
Is
don't think we have him anymore.
5D02. Aye. 5D03.
Aye.
5D04.
Aye.
5D05. Aye. 5D06.
Opposed.
5D07.
Aye.
And 5D08.
In favor.
Okay, motion carries. That's been approved by 5D. Thank you. And that's our time. Commissioner Roblin, final item. We have a letter to DDOT regarding the M Street crosswalks.
Yes, okay, so me and two ANCs from Ward 6, Christy Kwan and Kayad Chatterjee, have been monitoring the Florida Avenue construction situation. And they've been making a lot of changes to the streetscape. They told us months ago that they intended to remove the crosswalks at M Street. These crosswalks go straight to the M Street from Florida down M Street to the Noma Gallaudet station. It's just a 5 to 10 minute walk. And we've been fighting hard against this because we consider it extremely unsafe. Almost certainly, I really believe we're going to have fatalities and serious injuries. We managed to get a letter from DDOT Director Kirschbaum saying she has okayed the crosswalks stay for a while they monitor how many people are crossing at the lights at 6th and 7th, because they wanted to switch everyone over to crossing at 6th and 7th. And they recently made some changes to get people to do that. But we found out, we found out last week that they went ahead and removed the crosswalks against Ms. Kirschbaum's directive. So because of this right now, we have an extremely dangerous situation right now on Florida at M Street. But not on top of that, not only did they remove the crosswalks a week ago, but at that same time they did that, they coordinated the stoplights so that cars don't have to stop as often. As a result, now traffic is moving at a faster speed than it probably ever has on Florida Avenue. So we think this is absolutely unacceptable. And I'd like to ask, I already put it in the chat, but anyone who's willing to write a letter to DDOT and others and file a grievance on the DDOT website. I put all the information and all the CCs that I thought of in the chat. You're well, use whatever CCs you want to use. Don't use the others, but yeah, so this letter is to the project manager of the Florida Avenue construction, Mr. Ali Shakiri, and it's to Ms. Kirschbaum, Sharon Kirschbaum, the director of DDOT, asking them to put the crosswalks back immediately. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Roblin. I'll allow commissioners to ask questions as well as the public to ask any questions on this. Do you happen to have any photographs of the intersection currently now that the crosswalks have been removed?
No, they're just not there though. It's like recently painted over or paved over. But you can just go there. I unfortunately don't have any photos on me.
Okay, that was a question from the public. In terms of this letter that you drafted, Commissioner Roblin, is this the same letter that's used by the other commissioners in their commission, and have their commissions voted on this item yet?
That's right, exactly. Kaya Chatterjee wrote the resolution and I adapted it, just adding the words 5D instead of 6A. They are going to vote later this week. Their public meetings are like a day or two after ours. Ours is the first.
So it's only one other commission that will be voting on this letter?
No, two. 6C, which is a Christy Kwan's, we're the three that have kept up with it because we're the three that have Florida. It's 6A, 6C, and us.
Okay, so it is a collaborative effort amongst the ANC commissioners that are that cover Florida Avenue.
100%, 100%.
Thanks. I don't know who went first, so I'll just go with roll call. 5D02, you had a question?
Yes, thank you. How long has the crosswalks been removed? How long has it been since they've been removed?
I believe it's about 1 week.
About a week.
About 1 week. Yeah.
They are not going to replace them, or they're just removed at this point and we don't know what's going to happen moving forward.
We had a long conversation insisting that they replace them, and so they're going to check with some other people, and we're not sure what's going to happen.
So we don't have an answer about the crosswalks being replaced.
Not at this time, but Director Kirschbaum told them not to take them away. They were going to monitor them with cameras and see who were still crossing it on and who was going to cross at 6th and 7th. But the project managers, whoever was in charge of it, I don't know exactly who the individuals were that made the decision, but they considered them the boss instead of the director of DDOT. I don't understand.
And just to add to Commissioner Rhodes, if I can, who have you been in contact with DDOT exactly, Commissioner Roblin?
There's a group of people that we walk with. We've gone on many, like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 different walkthroughs of the Florida construction. And usually it's the same people with additions from like the Ward 6 or Ward 5.
Is it like the community outreach specialist that they have for the wards, or is it a specific person that manages
I'm trying
these
to
projects?
remember his name. I'm trying to remember his name. I think it's Mr. Shakiri is the one of them. I'm terrible at forgetting names.
And Delando Baker from Ward 5.
No, he hasn't been on any that I've been on. I think he went on one that I missed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Henderson, you had a question?
Yes, Commissioner Roebling, can you identify the affected single member districts for this issue?
It's 01 for us, Hector's 01, mine 03. Whoever has Florida above me, I think I end it Holbrook, but there is a little bit above it because I think it goes up to 14th, and that's past where I am, but not by much. And then on 6A and 6C.
And you're basically talking about 7th and M Streets Northeast.
The M Street crosswalks are between 6th and 7th.
Which is not in 5D03.
Yeah, I think I start at West Virginia and go up northward. Yeah, so I think it's in Hector's. The crosswalks, I believe, are in Hector's, and then I think they're in 6C.
Okay.
But we've been working on this as a group, you know.
Was that it, Commissioner Henderson? I guess so. Okay. Commissioner Cobb, you had a question?
Just a comment. Like Commissioner Roblin, I don't know if DDOT has any plans to restore those crosswalks, but I can feel pretty confident that unless we keep up maximum pressure over a sustained period of time, they're not going to, because they don't want to do any extra work. If they were planning to take away the crosswalks, they were going to take away the crosswalks, whether Director Kirschbaum told them to or not, because that's what was in the plans and they blindly follow the plan. So we need to keep up consistent pressure to make sure that they put those crosswalks back. And as far as Commissioner Roblin's role, I want to thank you, Commissioner, for taking the lead on this. I know we've sort of delegated the work out to you because you are often the one available to go on these walks. And I just, again, want to express my gratitude here in a public meeting for that.
Yeah, I know everyone works full time, but I don't. So I'm like, it's a lot easier for me. So yeah, I'm good. And yeah, you're totally right. I agree. They do what they want to do, but I mean, this is a serious, like, I can expect fatalities. I mean, it's just people are not gonna not cross an M Street. People are gonna cross an M Street. They always have, and it's even there's a serious condition with a bike for bicycles that are turning. I forget if it was where it's from, but it's like even worse, sort of, if you're on a bike and you need to turn down M Street.
And just to further touch on what Commissioner Henderson was trying to point out, your constituents use this route, most likely use this route and have access to this route. So it directly affects them. Understood. Just making sure that that was clarified. Okay, with no other questions or comments from commissioners of the public, Commissioner Roblin, you're open to put a motion on the floor.
So I motion that we vote to support this letter of, what is it again? Sorry. I'm bad at these kind of things. I motion that we, yeah, letter to DDOT regarding the M Street crosswalks.
Okay, can Commissioner Roblin get a second for this motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Cobb. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed, say nay.
Opposed.
And any abstentions? Okay, the ayes have it. This motion carries. This letter to DDOT has been approved by 5D. Thank you, Commissioner Roblin.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that being said, we've come to our community and feedback and questions portion. We're just 8 minutes over on the agenda. For any folks that have any pressing matters regarding something that wasn't addressed during tonight's meeting that you would like to bring to the commission, feel free to use the raise your hand feature. I'll grant this to the lone stragglers that make it to the end of our meeting for time's sake. If you have a question, feel free to use the raise your hand feature so you can ask the commission directly. If there was anything that the commissioners failed to share with folks at tonight's meeting, use the raise your hand feature also, and we'll allow you to speak before adjourning. Miss Linda Bernoy, you might have a question for us.
Yes, I do. Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I live on M Street Northeast between 19th and Summit. And with the change in climate and increased rain and flooding, I had a neighbor on the street who built a parking lot behind the building without my knowledge. And so as a result, there's more water draining from the alleyway from their property onto mine, water that used to drain onto their property. And so as I submitted, so the alley accumulates a lot of water during the rain and a lot of sitting water that'll also provide habitat for mosquitoes as it gets warmer. And so I submitted a 311 request to the city for regrading and repair of that alley. But the response I got back is that they're going to do that in about a year. So in the meantime, my property is at risk of flooding. Last time during the rain, I pictures it got within several inches of my doorway. And I will get contractors out to try to deal with this, but the alleyway still needs to be dealt with. Does anyone have any advice how to accelerate that kind of process with the city?
Can you confirm again where you're located? I want to have your commissioner speak before we jump in on the conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Reed
Linda's in
was
my
my
S&D.
commissioner. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, Linda, I'm happy to try to come over and see what your situation looks like. And my guess is that that's DPW or DDOT, depending on what needs to be done there. If it's redesign, it might be DDOT. If it's just maintenance or cleaning, it's probably DPW. But we can see about who we can amplify your request to try to see if we can get some attention earlier.
Okay, that'd be great. Should I email you the pictures I have? That might be easier because, you know, it hasn't rained for a few days. It's not too bad, but when it rains, it's really bad.
That'd be great.
Okay, thanks so much.
Commissioner Cobb, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that. If Linda, if you want to do anything on your own property, the Department of Energy and the Environment does they have a program called River Smart Homes where they offer things like rain barrels and drainage options and things like that. And they often come at a rebate or a discount or sometimes even 100% off, depending on the program and the property.
Okay, thanks. I do have a rain barrel in the front, but I don't know if that'll solve that. But thanks so much.
Good information being shared. Were there any other questions or pressing matters from the public that you would like 5D to address before we move to adjourning tonight's meeting? I see some good exchange of information in the chat. Don't see any questions in the Q&A. Mr. Parliamentarian, can you confirm that nothing else has been brought up to the commission by the public? I'll take that as a no. Okay, with that being said, I would like to adjourn tonight's meeting. I move that we adjourn tonight's meeting at 9:43 p.m. Can I get a second on this motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Roblin. All in favor of adjourning tonight's meeting at 9:43 p.m., say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. And any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Tonight's meeting adjourns at 9:43 p.m. Everyone stay safe and blessed. Thank you all for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you to our interpreters.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.